Are you storing your silver and gold correctly? How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. If you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy talking about precious metals, so make sure you blast that subscribe button, get the bell notification clicked. That way you get updated with any new content. Today I am very excited. This video, I want you to understand something. This is not a paid promotional video, nothing like that. This interview is actually something that is very important. I think a lot of you are going to want to pay attention to. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to speak with Mark Yaxley, Managing Director of Strategic Wealth Preservation. He's had some mega hit YouTube videos, millions and millions of views. A lot of people within the stacking community may recognize him from the Inside the Vault series. He's been on Stansberry Research. He's done a lot of different types of interviews and things of that nature. So he is an expert when it comes to storing precious metals. I've had a lot of people asking me over the years, is it better to store at home? Is it better to store in a safe deposit box? Is it better to have stuff buried underground? What about having it stored in a vault or a secure off-site place where people can't really get to the items as quickly as they may want to? And all of these questions that I've received over time, I've done my own research and I've done what's best for me, as I'm sure a lot of you are going to do what's best for you. But I think it's very important for a lot of you to watch this video and this discussion that I have with Mark. These are all questions that I came up with. It wasn't fed to me. I had some genuine questions about how his business operates and what are some of the best ways to store your precious metals. Just so you know, at the end of our discussion, he and I did talk, and he said that he loves the channel, and there is going to be a referral link if you are interested in just taking a look at the silver and gold that they sell, as well as their storage solution. So definitely check out what Mark has to say, and then we'll circle back here after the interview. Mark, just before we get into everything with your company and Strategic Wealth Preservation, I wanted to just make sure that the viewers understand that this is not a paid interview. This is something that you and I wanted to collaborate with, just because we thought that this was a very good opportunity for people to learn about some of the do's and don'ts for storing their precious metals. So the other thing too, in case anybody haven't seen you, you are pretty YouTube famous. You got millions of views on some of the videos that you've been in. You're basically the face of Inside the Vault. Do you want to share with us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, Stormy, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I've kind of made it a little bit of a life mission, aside from the business side of things, to educate people on precious metals. So any chance I can get to talk about precious metals or storage, I'm game. I think it's something that our industry owes to the retail investor. They need more information. They need quality information. So glad to be here with you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Absolutely. And yeah, Inside the Vault. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story in a second, but we're very proud of what we built. The whole purpose of Inside the Vault is to educate investors about the 101s of owning precious metals, of traveling with precious metals, of storing precious metals, all those things that inside of the industry, kind of gets taken for granted. But I felt that there was a big gap and people didn't know enough about some of those subjects. So if you haven't, go check out Inside the Vault. I think you'll learn something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had very humble ambitions when we designed that first season. We were hoping to get 25,000 views for all 8 episodes. And then something happened that I had never experienced in my life. We actually went viral. And it was just this crazy, couple of weeks where the video was all over the place, and it was a lot of fun. It's been fun to see the comments, and but our ambitions were a lot more humble than the reality. To
be honest with you, some of the early days of stacking for myself, before I became a YouTube content creator, I saw some of your videos.
Oh, cool.
So, there was one video that you did, I believe it was like coins versus bars. And then you're standing inside this gigantic room with just tombstone sized pieces of metal there. And I'm like, holy cow. I mean, this is crazy. And I was fascinated. And, in terms of storage, I mean, this is always something that people are asking me. what's the best way to store your precious metals? And everybody has their, opinions, right? And there's always strategies and things behind like the best way to store everything. And, you could say there's pros and cons for pretty much everything. But there's some stuff that have come across my feed recently, people burying, holes in the ground and dumping their coins into the ground. And, I'm like, what are you people doing? It's like, why are you doing that? And some of them are like, oh, we'll put it in PVC pipes and seal it up really well. And, what would you say is like some of the obvious reasons as to why like that would be a bad idea?
Oh, why that's about? It's interesting because we receive some stuff down in the Cayman vault sometimes that has dirt on it or PVC. We get the PVC pipes shipped to us, and we're like, now we got to take this apart. Like this is on us to figure this out. So the guys in the vault are like, banging these PVC pipes and spending half a day trying to get it out. But you know what? I think when it comes down to home storage, and I'm certainly not opposed to home storage. I've always been an advocate for having some precious metals at home. Mm-hmm. What you really want to be thinking about ultimately is not how it's stored. It's creating like a ring fence around it. So it's like starting with the perimeter of your home and working all the way into where your precious metals is. Right. And sorry, there's some squeaking in the back. I've got a train stopping outside my office.
I don't hear anything. I was worried about you hearing my wife yelling at my kindergartner a moment ago. I don't know if you heard that, but
no, I didn't hear that. So we're good. So anyways, yeah, the idea being that like if the epicenter of your world is your precious metal stack, let's like just take a few seconds to think through the different layers, starting kind of at the outer perimeter. So like you might think like how accessible, because the ultimate threat for you with your precious metals at home is either like a home invasion,
right,
or someone inside your home, your teenage daughter,
right,
coming across your stuff and converting that into God knows what.
Right.
God, But if you're thinking about home invasion primarily, is like start from the outer ring of your property working in. So it's like you want to discourage criminals as much as possible because these people, it's usually they're looking for a very quick and easy theft. Right. That's why they are petty criminals, because it's they're looking for that easy grab. So if you start with the outer perimeter, like whether it be a perimeter fence, that's a good deterrent right away. You want to have a clear line of sight from the front of your property to your access points. So you don't want like bushes all over your property or things where criminals will have like this way of camouflaging themselves as they approach your home so your neighbors won't see them. And as you get closer to the home, it's like security system, good locks on your doors, get a dog. If you don't have one, they're great.
Right.
And then as you enter the home, really the best advice I've heard over the years is just don't make it obvious. Don't keep it in your living room. Don't put it on display. Don't put it in your bedroom closet, because that's one of the first places they're going to look for valuables.
Sure.
Your bedroom closet or your bedroom drawers. Put it somewhere that's not very obvious. That box that's labeled Christmas ornaments that's stuck in the attic, or a secret. I've got kind of this secret compartment in my house that I didn't even know about until recently. My wife pointed it out to me. Oh. So make it as difficult for them to locate, because ultimately a thief's goal is to get in and out of your home as quickly as possible. So create ways to slow them down on the way in that outer ring. So again, fence, good locks, good lighting outside your home, all those things to deter them. And once they get into the home, they're looking to get in and out as quickly as possible. Just put it somewhere where it's not obvious. There's a million good ideas. Burying it in the ground is not a terrible idea. But if you get sick or ill or die and you haven't told anyone where that is, you're up for a treasure hunt. So, maybe there's more obvious, and you should share the information with at least one person that you trust. Oh, and the last thing I want to say, Stormy, is don't broadcast it. Like, I know you're doing YouTube and I do YouTube, and people know we have this stuff, and I'm sure you have ways to mitigate that. But as a common person, don't broadcast the fact that you're holding precious metals to people that know where you live. Like, don't go to the block party or over the barbecue and start talking up that you've got 50 ounces of gold at home.
Right.
And don't post it on social media either, because, criminals do look and listen for opportunities like that.
Very good advice. You left out, though, moats and armed guards. So, that's if you can do it, by all means, right? Now, here's the other thing. People ask me about storing in bank safe deposit boxes. And I always tell them, that's actually not the best place to store it. I have a safe deposit box, but I prefer to keep the majority of my precious metals in different locations that I have access to. Times that I'm not, I'm not constricted or confined to the times of the bank hours. Are there other reasons as to why people wouldn't want to store their precious metals in the bank?
Yeah, I can think of a few reasons aside from access, which is one. Obviously, bankers don't work long hours, so your access to your metals during those hours is fairly limited. But the top three for me are no insurance.
Yeah.
Generally, anything inside your safe deposit box at the bank is uninsured. So if something does ever go missing, and it does happen, unfortunately, things do go missing from safe deposit boxes in banks, you're not going to be able to file an insurance claim and recover that. Typically, there's no independent audit of the items. So, you might think, oh, I'm going to put it in a box. I'm going to go down to the bank, once a month and check on it. But the reality is you're probably not going to get down there all that often.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no independent third party that's vetted, that's going in there and checking for you. So again, if something does go missing, you might not realize for an awfully long time. And that's one of the advantages of private vaults. They have these independent auditors that come in and check on behalf of the client. And the third thing I can think of, and I'm sure you can appreciate this because you sell metal, is lack of liquidity. Yeah. So you stick it in a safe deposit box. There's no trading partner. There's no one to sell to. There's no way to transact. It's just literally sitting there. And so I think that's another downside to banks. They do some things well, but precious metals is not one of the things that banks do well at all.
Now, you mentioned vaults, and one thing that your business is very big on is, vault storage. What would you say are some of the benefits for people to be storing their precious metals in vaults, right? Because we're basically talking about the access to precious metals and why that's a benefit, right? And that's kind of a reason why they wouldn't want to store it at a bank. So, why is it a good idea to store it in a vault? Yeah,
so just a little bit of context. First of all, why would you store anything in a vault? Right. Or even, why not store everything at home? And I think, right. Like I said earlier, I am an advocate for having some precious metals at home. The moment you want to start thinking about private storage is the moment that the risk of storing it at home outweighs the benefit. Mm-hmm. So at a certain point in time, you're actually putting yourself in a position of risk by having too much wealth or money in one place. Because if something does happen, like you have a home invasion or you have an ex-wife that runs off with your stuff, right? Things like that actually do happen. If you had $100,000 at home and it got stolen, like that would really, really hurt. So that's at that point in time when you're starting to lose sleep over it, that's when you want to start thinking about private storage. And when you think about private storage versus the banks, the single biggest advantage is insurance. If you're storing with a reputable storage company, you're going to have full replacement value insurance. So if anything happens to your metal, short of war, terrorism, or an act of God, because nobody will insure against those things, short of those things, your metal is going to be replaced. So if it's internal theft, external theft, fire, flooding, hurricanes, all those kind of things, your metal will be replaced. You do have the independent audit factor, which I actually like a lot. There's someone who comes in from a vetted third party, whether it's like one of the big accounting firms or one of the big audit firms that work in vaults around the world. They come in and count every single ounce and then send a statement to you. So this person really has your best interest in mind. And they're saying, hey, Stormy, your stuff down in the Caymans, it's still there. Rest assured, we counted it personally. We're signing off on that count. And the other thing that a lot of people don't think about is liquidity. When you're inside a vault that has an active liquid market, you can add to that position or sell out of that position all day long during regular trading hours. So that's kind of cool if you're someone who likes to invest and watch the spot price a little bit and take advantage of the market conditions to either add to your stack or sell and take a profit. So that's something that's often forgotten, but liquidity is a big advantage of vaults as well.
That's interesting, because I would have actually thought that there wasn't much liquidity because the people can't really have access to just like reach in, grab what they want and sell it. So if, for example, like here on my desk, I've got this gold here and I saw an opportunity that I wanted to sell off some of my gold, what would I do? Would I say, okay, please sell off, 5 of my American Gold Eagles and my 1 Gold Britannia? Like, how would that work?
That's exactly how it works, actually. So like, we're oversimplifying things a little bit, but sure. If you're in a situation where your storage is fully allocated and fully segregated. So Stormy's metal
Right.
is in his own box inside one of these vaults that meets the criteria. Ours does. If it's in one of those vaults and you say, hey, Mark, I want to sell 5 Eagles and 1 Britannia right now, I'm going to make a bid to you. And if you accept that bid, I'm going to buy it from you right away. And then I'm going to either sell it to another potential buyer. I might hold it until I find a buyer, or I'll flip it to a wholesaler who's active in the vault as well. So there's always a market maker behind the retailer like us. And so it creates liquidity for the investor. So it's equally as easy for you to buy on a whim from us as well. So giving clients that liquidity is actually one of the things that, you know, we do rather well, and it's a benefit of being in a marketplace like a vault, and any vault that's worth, worth being with at all will be able to offer you liquidity.
Now I've seen, your website, Strategic Wealth Preservation, and I saw that you actually do sell bullion on there, to the general public, right? So I could just set up a profile and go on there, and if I wanted to shop for precious metals, I could just buy from your site, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're a retailer. So we offer, we kind of say we're a fully integrated precious metals dealer and storage company. So we offer people secure segregated storage. And we also offer them access to all the best-selling products that you'll find on the marketplace, whether it be Royal Canadian Mint stuff, US Mint stuff, the Philharmonics. We basically cover all of the best-selling products. And so people can buy gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and even rhodium if they want it. Nobody tends to buy it, but it's there.
It's like one of those lesser talked about metals.
Yeah, by a long shot. But yeah, so that's kind of our business model, pretty straightforward.
It's actually really cool because again, somebody who hasn't really, I'm speaking for myself, I haven't done a lot of research on vaults. And it was interesting when you and I first got in contact with each other and I checked out the website. I was like, oh, they actually also are a big retailer of precious metals, which is, good to know for the individuals watching this video. Definitely want to check out the website for that. Before we wrap up, I did have another, 1 or 2 questions for you. I was curious, how does the model work in terms of storing precious metals in your vault? Is it based on a value, like a total value of the precious metals? Is it based on weight? Is it based on the actual physical dimensions? Like, how does that actually work?
Yeah, so there's a few different models that vaults will employ to say like billing strategies for their clients. I'd say about 80% of our clients fall under one model, which is the percentage of value model. It's kind of the traditional model that vaults offer their clients. So basically what we do is we take the London fix from the previous business day and we plug that into our system every morning. And that gives us a value of your holdings for that one business day. And then we average out that value over the course of the billing period, which in our case is a quarter, so 90 days. And then at the end of that 90 days, we say, okay, your average value is X and your billing amount or your billing percentage of value is Y. And then we send you a bill. So it's a percentage of value and it's based on the market fluctuation. So if the price of gold goes down, you get billed a little bit less. If the price goes up, you get billed a little bit more. And that's also how our insurance costs work. So it kind of levels out for us. It's a good way to manage the business. The other way that clients or vaults tend to be billing is a fixed value per annum. So either they'll say for every ounce of gold, we're going to charge you a fixed amount per year, or they'll even, and this is what we do with our clients, we say, we'll rent you a certain amount of space. And in our case, that's actually a safe deposit box inside of our vault. And we say for $500 a year, we will rent you, a certain amount of space and you can put as much metal as you can in there.
Gotcha.
So you kind of have both models, but a lot of people go with the percentage of value and, it's not a huge amount of money, to be honest. It's pretty fair considering all the service and insurance that you get out of the deal.
And then last question I had, because I'm just asking questions that I know other people have asked me in the past and things that I'm just curious about. If I was like, you know what, I want to just have my metals, can you just send me everything? Is that something you just send something via like FedEx, like sign for, like how would that work if somebody wanted to actually retrieve their metals from your company? That's
a really good question. And it's so important that people understand this because this is where there's a pitfall in our bit. There's a few pitfalls in the precious metal world. I'm sure you know that, but one of them is when you enter a storage agreement, you absolutely need to make sure that it's fully segregated, fully allocated, because in that case, the precious metals that you're storing remain your personal property. Under the law, precious metals are considered personal property. So when you go into a fully allocated, fully segregated scenario like what we offer, where it goes into your own bin and it's got its own place on the shelf, that metal never belongs to us. It's never or never an asset on our books. It's always Stormy's metal. So when Stormy calls up and says, hey guys, like I want to take delivery of some of it or all of it or whatever, my circumstances have changed, we are going to ship your personal property via FedEx or Loomis, depending if it's a large amount, we'll use Loomis, an armored car carrier, to get it from our door, whichever vault you're storing with us in, to your home or business address. And that's fully insured door to door. You pay for the service, but it's fully insured door to door. So if anything goes missing, and I'm not saying it never happens, things can go missing with FedEx. We know that you are insured and your metals will be replaced. But the pitfall I was alluding to, and it's so important that people understand that, people will come to us and say, hey man, like we noticed that there's these other companies offering the ability to buy gold and store it with them like really cheap, like it's super cheap. And the reason is that what they're buying is unallocated metals. So they're buying basically like a position or a percentage of a large gold bar. They're getting like a sliver of that large gold bar, and that's stored inside a vault. And that's a very cost-effective way for retailers to market the service to investors. But the problem is when the investor wants to take delivery, they don't realize that they don't actually own anything physical that is personal property. What they have is a liability against the company to deliver something to them. So if something goes wrong with that company, or the investor will have to pay the conversion fees into the gold eagles to then be delivered to them. These are things in the fine print and understanding products that consumers really need to know. And that's something I always try to bring up and just say, look, you might save like 0.25% per year, but you don't understand that you've given away your right to personal property and the ability to easily take delivery of that. So I'm glad you asked the question. I know it's a long answer, but
no, it makes sense.
It's important that people are aware of that.
Absolutely. Mark, before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to add about strategic wealth preservation?
You know, all I'll say is, you know, we started this business in 2014 because we thought that there was a need for offshore storage closer to the U.S. market. We do offer domestic storage in both Texas and Delaware for American citizens, but we have a lot of clients that you know, either don't trust the banks, don't trust the government. They feel threatened in one way or another. They're worried about their privacy and they want to store some of their assets offshore. That's why we started SWP in the Cayman Islands. Right. Back in 2014, 15, we run the business very fairly. We're open. We're honest people. I think you'll get a sense of that if you check out inside the vault. We actually show you what the vault looks like. The metal's there. Yeah, that's real metal. It's all there down in Cayman. And, you know, we try to treat people right and we take care of our clients. Yeah, that's all I'd say. But otherwise, love your premise of your show, Stormy. I was hoping to see you in the helmet. Maybe one day I will. I don't know.
There are plenty of videos on the channel that you could see with me wearing this thing on my head. I appreciate your time, seriously. And, you know, I think it would be a great opportunity for us to do more of these in the future. Mark Yaxley, Managing Director of Strategic Wealth Preservation, thanks so much again for your time.
Stormy, it's been a pleasure. I'd love to come back. Like I said, educating investors is kind of my passion. So anytime you ask, I will be back.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Stormy.
So I'm curious as to what all of you think about storing your precious metals in a vault. I do know some individuals who actually do this. If I continue to stack as much gold and silver that I am stacking at this present time, I might actually start looking into one of these services myself. There's some more things that I'm going to want to research on it, but you know, it's definitely an option. And I do like how you don't necessarily have to have everything at your fingertips, that you do have the ability to sell and buy from their vault storage option. So definitely check them out. If you do, make sure you tell them that Stormy sent you, and comment down below, what are your thoughts on storing your precious metals in a vault? And I would like to quickly thank these elite channel supporters. And if you haven't already become a channel member, please check out the awesome perks and join today. With that, this is Empire Precious Metals. Until next time, long live the Empire.